hear what I said? I said, come on, board with you. Nah, she's not say that. Yeah, I did.
All right, everybody should be on page 12. It should be ready to raise. Annex, are ready? Page 12. Ready to raise. Okay, we read this story last week. This is our second time reading it. This time we're going to be focusing on similes and summaries. Okay? So we're going to read the whole passage, and then together we're going to write a summary. Remember, a summary is when you're telling someone what the story was about, but you're only including the main details. So you want to tell them what happened in the beginning, what happened in the middle, what happened in the end, but you only want to include the most important details. You don't want to include all the little bitty things because you want them to still be interested in reading it. If you tell them all the details, then they have no reason to read it, right? Okay, so we are going to work on creating a summary together. Then we're going to work on finding similes in the text. Similes are when you take two things and you're comparing them using the words like or as. So if I said it's cold as ice, I'm comparing how cold it is in here to what?
Ice.
Ice. So I'm talking how cold it is and ice. Those two things, and I'm comparing them to each other. If I said that boy can run as fast as a cheetah, then I'm comparing that what? That boy to a cheetah. Okay, so you're using like or as to compare two things to say that they're similar.
Next year when I was in Oklahoma 13.
Cool. Y'all are going to do it with Miss Casey in library this week also. Alright, so those are our two jobs this week. So we're going to read the first couple paragraphs. We're going to talk about similes and summary, and then we'll keep on going. There are going to be parts today that we read as a class. There are going to be parts that one person reads to everybody. And there are going to be parts that you read by yourself. Okay? So the first paragraph, I'm going to read it to you, and then we will take turns reading the next few paragraphs. All right, paragraph 1. Everybody ready? Yes, Rylan. Quickly. All right, here we go. Everybody ready? Paragraph 1. It says, Riding Freedom is a historical novel that loosely follows the life of a real person named Charlotte Parkhurst, a horse lover and stagecoach driver. In the novel, Charlotte's parents are killed in an accident when she is 3 months old. So she was brought up at an orphanage in New Hampshire. Okay, so this is not going to be included in our summary because our summary is only about the part we're reading. Did we read the part of the story that had all of those events? No, that's happened in the beginning of the story and we don't have it. This is a forward that she's telling us what we've missed. So we're not going to include any of that in our summary. So we're going to move on, okay? Read paragraph 1 for us, nice and loud, really, really loud. Cadence. Everybody's ready.
After 10 years in the orphanage, Charlotte wasn't like most girls her age, and who knew if she was growing up like a phenomenon puppy in a pack of rockin' boys, or if it was just her own spit and fire. But she never had a doll or a tea party. She couldn't sew a stitch, and she didn't know a petticoat from a peacock. Wild hair burned out of her burning waist, and her ribbons hung to her waist untied. Her frock was too big and hung like a sack over her small frame, smudged, but dirt always covered her, and instead of girl-like lace for as long as anyone could remember, she wore a split of leather and
Good. Okay, so when we talked about this paragraph the other day, we said that this whole paragraph is pretty much telling you what? What is this whole paragraph telling you about? If you had to give me one sentence to tell me what this is about, what would you say? Say several hands.
We got in English. Wait, what did she say?
It looks like he's a no Henry's.
Oh,
It's eight, I think.
seven.
Everybody, shh. Honey, what about you? What about you? Everybody quiet, period. Oh, you're talking to me. Who are you talking to? I'm talking to you. Who are you talking to?
One of baby Vegas.
Who?
Baby Vegas.
Boss baby. Talking to me.
I'm not you don't have I remember baby Vegas. It's big. She's in trouble.
I know one person that my dad won't.
What is our about?
Wait, like, what did she say in the question?
I never.
I took mine off the finger.
Remember you still at the cafeteria?
By the water.
This dude. What is in that?
I knew about the.
Well,
I knew the.
he was like walking You're the one that's talking. Yeah. No, he's not. Be quiet because now that okay, everybody be quiet.
Let my cardinal still. One of my.
Cállate.
Okay, sorry guys, they're having trouble with their board next door. This thing is out. I tried to go help them fix it. So they've got their board working. I'm gonna give us a dojo point for being on good behavior while Miss Selena was out. Let's get back on task. Okay, so in this paragraph, what is it mostly about? One sentence, what is this paragraph mostly about? What do you think it's mostly about, Cody?
A girl that cooks.
It doesn't talk about her cooking at all in this paragraph.
Oh.
Just this one paragraph. What is the whole thing about? Braylon, put that up.
It's the orphanage.
Okay, she's at an orphanage. How old is she? Cody, how old is she?
No, since
After 10
13?
years.
13?
No, after 10 years. So she's been there how long?
10 years.
10 years. And she lost her parents when she was
3
months old. So she wasn't even a year. So that makes her how old?
10.
10.
Oh.
She's 10. So she's 10. She's at an orphanage. And what is all of this about?
Charlotte.
What, Annex?
A little bit about her.
What about her, though? What does it tell us about her?
How her life has been so far.
Okay, and what is that? What is her life like? Nevaeh?
That she has to cook every day.
It doesn't talk about her cooking here. Y'all keep saying cooking, and later in the story it does. We've already read the whole story once, and so that's why y'all are saying it. But think about just what you read in this paragraph. What is this whole paragraph about in one sentence? Macklin?
Her life isn't really girly.
She's not girly. If I look at this sentence, it says Charlotte wasn't like most girls her age. Hey, so the main point of this whole paragraph is at the beginning. AJ, eyes up here. The main point of this whole paragraph is at the beginning. She's not like most girls. And the rest of this paragraph, they give you details about how she's different. They talk about she doesn't know what a petticoat is. Remember we talked about that's the thing that she wears under her
Like dress.
right? She doesn't like tea parties. She's never had a doll. All of those are little details that tell us that she's not like the other girls. So this whole paragraph is about how she's not like the other girls. She's different from them. How could I start my summary? How could I put that in my own words? If I was telling someone what that paragraph is about, I might say, this is about what? How could you put it in your own words, Henry?
This paragraph is about how Charlotte. This paragraph is about how Charlotte wasn't like most girls. She did like the things that other girls her age did. She did everything kind of different than.
Okay, so you're on the right track. It is about Charlotte, and it's how she's not like all the other girls. But do we need all those other details? No, because for a summary, remember, you want to keep it real short. So how could I write it pretty short what that paragraph was about? How can we write it a little shorter? Marissa?
Paragraph 1 is about how Charlotte is not like most girls her age.
Okay. Charlotte is not like, you said most girls her age. How old is she?
10.
Okay, so Charlotte is not like most 10-year-old what?
Girls.
Not boys.
Okay, so Charlotte is not like most 10-year-old girls. Now, there's one really important thing that we need to know about her life. She's not like the other girls, and she's what? She's in an orphanage. So, Charlotte is not like most 10-year-old girls where? At the orphanage. So, let's take that period off and put at the orphanage. Okay, this needs to be on your paper. This is the beginning of our summary. As we read the rest of the passage, we will add to our summary. What?
I have one of my questions right here. Can you read it?
We all do.
Okay, then you can,
Right under it?
yes, just draw a
That's
line.
what I
Right
wrote.
under it.
That's what I wrote, but I skipped the line.
Draw a line and write under it.
I'm gonna write it really small.
Charlotte is not like most 10-year-old girls at the orphanage. This should be on your paper. Now, I did not include things like that she didn't know what a petticoat was, she didn't have dolls, she didn't have ribbons, because if I tell them all of that, do they have any reason to read my story?
No.
No. You just want to tell them enough to make your reader interested in it. In a summary, you're just including the main details. Braylon, I'm waiting on you. Let's go. Guys, we need to be writing quickly so we can move on. Okay, now we're going to talk about similes in this paragraph. Remember, similes, we're going to take two things and we're comparing them using like or as, okay? So in the first simile that we're going to look at, it says, and who knew if it was growing up like a follow-along puppy and a pack of rough-and boys? Or if it's just her own Spitfire, okay? So, what if it's just her own Spitfire? Okay, so what are they comparing in this paragraph, in this simile? Who knew if it was growing up, so the way that she's grown up, like a follow-along puppy and a pack of rough-and boys. When it says a follow-along puppy, you can imagine in your head a puppy doing what? Following along, okay? And a pack of rough-and boys. So you've got a pack of boys. A pack means a what? A group, like a lot of them. And rough boys, well, you know how boys play, right? They're pretty rough.
Yeah.
They roll around in the dirt. They get hot and sweaty. They're not real girly, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you think about like what a puppy, class.
Yes.
You think about a pack of rough boys. So they're playing, they're in the dirt, whatever, they're getting dirty, playing hard. And there's a puppy that follows them along. That puppy will end up being what?
Hurt. Rough.
Rough. Maybe get a little, might get a little hurt. Would be dirty, right? Because the puppy likes to play whatever the boys are playing. So they're comparing her to this puppy that follows along the boys. They're saying that she is like the what?
Boys.
The boys, but they're calling her a what?
Puppy.
Like a follow-along puppy. They're saying that she follows the boys. Whatever the boys do, she is
Doing.
So they're comparing her in the way she is to the puppies, to the boys. I mean, yes, they're calling her a puppy, but they're comparing her to what a puppy would do around all those rough boys. Okay, so that like or as they're comparing her, who she is, her personality, being rough and tough, to like what a puppy would be like if it played with a group of boys all the time. Does that make sense? Comparing those two things. Any questions about that? Yes.
I don't have a question, but I can relate because my brother, when my cousin comes over, whatever we're doing, that's what he's doing too.
Yeah.
It's just like the story of where he was looking at
Like Danny and Brendan on your test. Yeah. Okay, let's look at one more simile. It says,
Was it like
her frock was too big and hung like a sack on her small frame. Everybody underline that in your paper. Her frock was too big and hung like a sack on her frame. When it talks about the frock, that's her apron. So this white thing right here. And it says it's too big and hung like a sack. Her dress and her apron, all of that is part of her, what she's wearing. Okay, so it says it's too big and it hung like a sack. That word like lets you know there's a simile there. They're comparing what she's wearing to something else. They're comparing her frock to a what?
a sack.
A sack. It says the frock was too big and hung like a sack on her small frame. What does that mean if it hung like a sack?
It's like I can imagine like a sack, and it's kind of like droopy.
Yeah, it's droopy. It's not tight. It's not showing if she's a bigger girl or smaller girl. It's probably not something in style. It's not going to make her look pretty. It's just hanging like a sack. It's just kind of droopy. She doesn't really care about what she's wearing. She's just put it on, right? Okay, so they're comparing her frock, what she's wearing, to a sack. A simile is when you take two things and you're comparing them. You're saying how they are alike. Okay, let's move on. Paragraph 2. We're going to add to our summary from paragraph 2. Read paragraph 2 for us, nice and loud. AJ. Everybody's following along. Paragraph 2.
Charlotte's greatest misfortune was that
Mrs. Boyle.
the cook had been put in charge of her with the shape and personality of every large toad and without another bone in her body. Mrs. Boyle certainly wasn't going to teach Charlotte how to be ladylike and couldn't be bothered with
Charlotte.
except to order her around the kitchen. And although Charlotte knew how to boil oats and make mush for an army and could peel mountains of potatoes and square pots and pans, Mrs. Boyle still yelled at her for the littlest things, for being too noisy or too quiet, or for gazing out the window at some horse in the pasture that needed to be ridden. Being in the kitchen was a thorn in Charlotte's side, and she hated it worse than falling to a real
Okay, so if we were looking at this paragraph, paragraph 2, what do you think would be the most important sentence that would tell you what this whole paragraph is about? Remember in paragraph 1, we said that Charlotte wasn't like most girls her age. That one sentence told us what the whole paragraph was about. What do you think would be one sentence in this paragraph that could tell you what the whole thing's going to be about? That means you need to be looking at the paragraph, not looking at me. Damien, what do you think?
I think Charlotte is talking about she washing the dishes and cooking.
Okay, does that one sentence tell you about the whole paragraph? Or is that a little detail?
That's a little deeper.
It's a little detail. Which one tells you about the whole paragraph? What the whole thing is about? What do you think, Jose?
I think it's talking about Miss Boyle telling her like the cook had been put in charge of her.
Yes, good job. Charlotte's greatest misfortune was that Miss Boyle, the cook, had been put in charge of her. The rest of this paragraph is about what Miss Boyle makes her do, right?
Yes.
But none of this is important if you don't know that Miss Boyle's in charge of her. So this whole paragraph is about what Miss Boyle makes her do when she's in charge of her. You need this underline on your paper. You got it? Well, and you're with me. I like that. Good job, Jose. So we know now that Miss Boyle, the cook, is in charge of her, and her job is to help Miss Boyle, right, in the kitchen. The rest of this, peeling potatoes, scrubbing pots and pans, making enough mush for an army, do we need to tell them all of that in a summary?
No.
No, because then they have no reason to read the what?
Story.
The story. You give them all the details in a summary, they don't want to read the book. So all we need to tell them is that Charlotte works with who?
Miss Boyle.
Miss Boyle in the kitchen. Now there is one really important thing that we need to include about Miss Boyle that affects Charlotte's life. We know she's working with her, and there's one other main thing that they talk about in this. What do you think, Rylan?
Well, I want to add on Jose because it says it's a thorn in the side to work in the kitchen.
Yes.
But
We know she's working with Miss Boyle, but what else does it really give you a lot of details about? What else does it talk about quite a bit? Annex?
Her always staring at the horse in the house.
Okay, she doesn't want to be there, but why doesn't she want to be there? What do they tell you about a lot? Cadence? Yes, good job. Miss Boyle yells at her for the littlest things. Right here, everybody underline that. That tells you that she's in the kitchen with Miss Boyle. That one of her jobs is to cook and to clean. But when she's in there, is she treated very well?
No.
No. Now, do we need to tell them that she yells when she's too quiet? She yells when she's too loud. She yells when she looks out the window.
No, because that's too much detail.
Too many details. Your reader's not going to want to read the book. All you need to tell them is that she works with Miss Boyle, and Miss Boyle treats her
Not bad.
Well.
firm. Firm, okay. She doesn't treat her the best, right? Maybe she treats her poorly. Okay, let's add that to our summary. So go to where you've been writing your summary. Charlotte is not like most 10-year-old girls at the orphanage. What is she? Let's add the first thing we said that she does what? She
doesn't like being in the kitchen.
No.
Her greatest was
Miss Boyle's in charge of her.
okay, let's start with that.
She is a basic.
Miss Boyle is in charge of her and what? Miss Boyle's in charge of her, and
The orphanage.
she what?
Treats her poorly.
Okay, and treats her poorly. So Miss Boyle, so if she's yelling at her for the littlest thing, she is treating her poorly. Those are very similar. Okay, Miss Boyle's in charge of her.
We forgot to say in the kitchen.
Good detail, Miss Amy. Is in charge of her. I was gonna make that another sentence, but I think that's good for a summary. Just put it in. Miss Boyle's in charge of her in the kitchen.
And she treats her poorly.
And she treats her poorly.
If you were to put treats her poorly in some of your writing, you would probably get an extra point for portrait.
Yes.
Because bad would be the first grade word.
Right. And she treats her poorly. So we know Charlotte's a 10-year-old girl. She's not like the other girls at the orphanage. Miss Boyle's in charge of her in the kitchen, and she treats her pretty poor.
Man, I bet Miss Boyle's life sucks too.
Yeah, she has to go down there and deal with a bunch of girls every day.
Not maybe all. Is it really all girls?
Okay, after you've done that, I want you to turn to the next page so I know you're ready to move on. Okay, turn to the next page so I know when you're ready to move on. Can I erase this? Everybody got it?
Yes.
Do you have it, Braylon?
Oh, I don't have it.
Well, come on, honey. You just staring at it's not going to help. Okay, Juan's ready. Nevaeh's ready. Braylon, I'm waiting on you, honey. Let's go. It's right here for you. We just talked about it. Okay, you're going to read paragraphs 3 and 4 on the next page to yourself. Which paragraphs are you reading to yourself?
3 and 4.
3 and 4. After you finish reading them, we're going to see what is the important detail that we need to add to our summary, and we're going to find a simile. We're going to talk about what that simile means when everybody's done. You're reading 3 and 4 to yourself in your head. Go ahead. if you were going to tell me what this whole paragraph 3, was about, what would you say? What is the most important sentence that tells you what paragraph 3 is about? One?
About making her happy by
Okay.
going to the stables. Yes.
Yes, she goes to the stable. So, that whole thing is about how she races off to what?
Go to the stable.
Go to the stable. So, then she hangs up her aprons. Woo! Sorry, she hangs up and heads for the only place that makes her happy, the what?
Stable.
The stables. So, if we were going to add to our summary a sentence that explains that, what could we say? What could we say? Damien, I love that hand. I need some other people participating too. How could we say, Miss Boyle's in charge of her in the kitchen and treats her poorly. Charlotte, what? How could we tell them that she goes to the stable, that she races out to the stable? How can we explain that? What do you think, Cadence?
Every day, Charlotte did her chores in the kitchen as best as she could.
Okay, so Charlotte does her chores
Fast.
fast. And what? What's the most important part of this? We said she does what? Annex?
I was down into what Kaden said.
Uh-huh.
When Charlotte gets done with her chores, she runs down to the stables.
Love that. Okay, so she hurries through her chores, capital letter.
Do we run on this page or the other one?
Write it on the page that you're on right now. We'll talk about in just a minute how we're going to combine.
Sharpen nothing.
Okay, she hurries through her chores to get to the what?
To the stall.
To get to the what?
To the pleasure race. To the
Stables.
Where, Annex?
To the stables.
To the stables. Annex, how did you know the stables?
Because it said, it says, and ahead of the only place that makes her happy, the stable.
Okay, do you see what Annex just did? Class.
Yes.
Everybody look at me. I'm going to finish writing in just a minute. When I said, and she hurries through her chores to get to, and you guys started throwing out some crazy answers. I mean, all eyes here. You started giving me some crazy things. Annex said stables, which was correct. And when I said, Annex, how do you know that? She put her pencil here and she said, Anne headed for the only place that made her happy, the stables. How did Annex know the answer? What did she do? Nevaeh?
Look back at the text.
She looked back at the text. Don't try to remember it all and don't try to guess. Go back to the text. You're going to dojo point for that, Annex. Keep going. Everybody finish your summary. I'm giving you a dojo point.
Did you already give the class one?
I haven't yet. I'll do it at the same time.
And it's kind of two dodo points.
Wrong summary. All right, we should be ready to move on. Now, in paragraph 4, is there any big event that happens? Who said not really? Okay, Rylan, tell me why you say that.
Is it really only telling details about about the horses and just like the stalls and
Yeah, if I add in those details, like what the hay smells like and the horses hang their heads over, and those are details that my reader is going to get when they read the story. If I add those in the summary, then I'm already telling them the story. So we don't want to include any of that. There's really no big event there, so we're going to keep on going. So we're done with our summary for right now. We're going to talk about the similes that we see here. Look, I don't think it's going to let me go. Let me move it up, yeah. Okay, when you look here, it says, the smell of a sweet, dank hay and the horses Comforted her like an old quilt on a cold day. Everybody underline that. Alright, so when you look at that simile, the smell of a sweet dainty and the horses comforted her like an old quilt on a cold day. That word like proves that it's a simile. A simile is when you're taking two things and you're comparing them, right? So what is the first thing that they're talking about? What is the first thing before like, Cash? What's the first thing before like that they're talking about?
The smell of the stable comforted her.
Okay, the smell of the hay and the horses comforted her. Everybody circle smell and comforted. Cash, I want you to raise your hand to participate. Because you often know what we're talking about and you're with us. I want you participating so others can learn from you, okay? Okay, so when you walk into a barn and there are horses and there's hay and the horses have gone to the bathroom and they live there and you can smell their food, and when you walk inside, there's a lot of smells going on, right?
Yes.
When Miss Elena goes in to a barn, I'm like, oh, what is that smell? And I kind of like tiptoe. I'm not really what?
Confident. Like a tomboy.
True. How does she feel?
How does this girl feel?
She likes it.
She likes it. Miss Elena, what? Doesn't. Okay, so I would be,
Walking out.
think about the words you circled.
You'll be not uncomfortable.
I would be uncomfortable. But she is,
Comfortable.
why would she be comfortable there? Why would she be comfortable there? Raylan?
Because you are.
You're on the right track. She likes what?
She likes to see the horses.
She likes to see the horses. That is where she feels what? Happy, comfortable, at home. She's comfortable there, right? For me, I would feel comfortable with the second thing they're talking about. What's the second thing that they talk about?
Horses.
Raise your hand.
Who said that? Macklin, raise your hand. Tell me what you got.
An old quilt on a cold day.
Yeah, an old quilt on a cold day. Circle that. When it's really cold outside and there's like maybe some snow, or like today where it's cold and rainy, Miss Elena loves to get on the couch with a blanket and watch a good movie. That makes me feel what?
Good.
Class.
Yes.
That makes me feel what?
Comfortable.
Comfortable. Okay, so the reason that they are comparing the smell of the horses and the hay to an old quilt is because they know that everybody is not going to enjoy horses and hay. Some people like quilts and couches and just laying around. That's what makes them comfortable. They use similes so that other people can relate. Even if you don't like horses, even if you don't like to go into barns, you can relate to an old quilt on a cold day. How many of you have ever been cold, Henry? Raise your hand if you've ever been cold and you've gotten a big, thick quilt or blanket and you've wrapped up in it.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody in this classroom has done that, right?
Yes.
And more than likely, it probably made you feel comfortable. Now raise your hand if you've been in a barn with hay and horses and horse feed.
The Sammy has.
Okay, now look around. Have a lot of people done that?
No.
Not as many. Okay, so, all right, all hands down. So the reason that they have similes are to compare it to something so that you understand how she's feeling, even if you're not in the barn. You can imagine how comfortable she is because you've been comfortable with a quilt before on a cold day. So they're comparing how comfortable she is in the what? In the horse barn, the stables, to how comfortable you would be with a what?
Blanket.
A blanket, a quilt.
A huge quilt.
Okay? Yeah. All right, let's keep on going. What you got?
It's kind of like if I liked horses and I went in a barn and I lived on a barn every single day and you didn't.
Right.
It would kind of be like, it would kind of be like if you don't.
Right, Marissa's talking. It's her turn.
It's like if you don't like.
You're not familiar?
Yeah.
You're not familiar with it, then you're not going to be what?
Comfortable.
Comfortable. It would be something new for you. Okay, you're going to read 5 through 9. Which paragraphs?
5 through 9.
Okay, 5 through 9 by yourself. Then we're going to add on to the summary. There are no similes in 5 through 9, so we're just looking for the most important details to add to our summary. We've read this once together, so you should be able to read 5 through 9 by yourself. If you need help with a word, I'm coming around. Go ahead and get started. 5 through 9, and I want you thinking about what is the most important details.
Most of them true, that left her in a spell and got wide open. Vern had named all the horses himself. He always said that naming something was important. That name ought to stand for something, and that a horse should have a fine name to fit to a fine animal. So the horses all had names like Justice and Hope and Charity, and Vern had a story that went with each one of those names. Hope for wanting a better life when he was a young slave on a plantation in Virginia. Charity because of the kindness of the people who had helped him through his struggles. But the story that Charlotte begged for most was the story about Freedom. Freedom was Charlotte's favorite horse. She had watched her birthing a few years earlier and had babied her ever since. It was on Freedom that Vern taught Charlotte how to ride. She often pestered Vern for the story about Freedom's name. The story of how Vern ran away and hid in a root cellar with nothing but an old shirt to keep him warm, ran all the way to the north so he could be free, and named a horse Freedom for something he had won. Okay, do this. She's on the stairs.
Okay, what do you think that all 3 of those paragraphs were about?
I literally just finished it.
What are all of those paragraphs about? I guess it's more than 3 big ones. and then a few small ones. What were all of those paragraphs mostly about? Damien?
It's all about that man that helped.
And what's his name?
His name Vern.
Vern. Okay, so it's about Vern and what?
Charlie. The horses.
And the horses. Okay, so Charlotte does what?
Back the horses. Charlotte likes freedom the most.
What did we say? We said she goes to the stables. So we could just add on that. Why is she going to those stables?
To see the horses.
To see the horses and
To ride freedom.
well, who did you just talk about, Damien?
Vern.
Vern. Remember, Vern is her what? He's a stable master, but he's also her friend. He tells her what? Stories. Now, do I need to put in here all the stories that he tells her?
No.
No, because that's a lot of details. So I'm just going to add to the bottom that she goes to the stables. I'm going to erase my period. And I'm going to say she goes to the stables to see what?
Freedom.
Vern and the horses. Goes to the stables to see Vern. He needs a capital letter because it's his name. Vern and the horses. Anything else that I was to put in there from those paragraphs would be little details that my reader needs to get from reading the story, not from my summary. I do like horses. I am not very confident on a horse. I haven't ridden a horse very often. Only like twice in my life. So I do like them.
It's just
But
hard
I'm
to
not
ride
real
them.
comfortable.
I rode on a pony before. I rode on a pony on summer.
Yes, Cody.
Martin.
Thank you for raising your hand.
Martin.
Which one?
He's talking about the green.
The green
Yeah, we ride the green.
Goes to see Vern and the horses.
goes to the stables to see Vern and the horses. Yes.
Have you ever actually been to like one of the stables before?
No. Mm-mm. Yes.
I've been to a stable because I know people that live out on a farm. Their name are.
Cool.
Do you know like Clay and Jack?
I had one of them last year. Yeah. Cool.
Clay. Yeah,
I've
I've
been
been
to
there a
horses,
lot. My favorite one. I actually named one of them
Oh.
because one of their horses, Joker, he had a baby. Well, they had a kid. They sold him for a new one, but I suggested a name and they named it the one I suggested.
Cool.
Did you get
Okay, everybody flip over to the last page.
I asked to name it Rosie.
Okay, I am going to read the last page to you. And together we're going to decide what we need to add to our summary. You're going to give me your suggestion and then we're going to add it together. We ready? Everybody's following on paragraph 10. You going to beat William in the race today? Asked Vern. Okay, I'm going to wait till we're all there. Everybody should be on paragraph 10. You going to beat William in the race today? Asked Vern. I aim to. He deserves to be taken down a peg. William was 13 and he bullied the younger boys. He threw rocks at the cats and kittens, he whipped the horses, and he couldn't stand that Charlotte was better than he was at climbing trees and riding horses. I expect you will, said Vern. Freedom trusts you. William's riding Justice, and Justice just as soon throw him off. That boy's full of no respect for horses. You know what I always say. Charlotte knew it in her heart. A horse rides the way it's ridden, said Charlotte. Vern nodded his head, and Charlotte led Freedom from the stall.
She's gonna have a race with him. What show?
Hey, I want you to think about one sentence that we could add to our summary from that. So you think about one sentence that would tell your reader what that. Sorry.
Did you say? It's a.
Hey, you think about one sentence that would tell your reader what that whole page was about. Why is my computer doing that?
It's glitchy.
Hold on.
It was about
All right. So you're thinking about this whole page that we just read. You write one sentence, you add on to the summary. So you should still have a little room to write one more sentence that would tell them what happens at the end of this. What is this whole thing about? Her doing what? You write it to your summary, and I'm coming around to check. Remember, you don't want a lot of little details. One sentence that has the main detail of what just happened on that page. Write it on where you just wrote. So you'll have to flip the last page and add it to what you just wrote, okay? Now I'm going to come around and look. I'm going to give you some time, and then I'll come around and look at it. Okay, I'm going to be coming around to check the end of your summary in just a minute. And then we'll move into spelling. Whole page about. Think about what she and William are going to do. Okay, is that whole page really about how many dollars? Or is that one little detail? What was the whole page about? Hey, Damien had a really good sentence for his. Damien, what'd you put?
She's going to the race to beat William.
Okay, so that whole page is about her getting ready for a race to beat William. Who else had something similar? Marissa?
Charlotte is going to race against William.
Charlotte's going to race against William. Cash?
She's going to race William, the guy that is horrible to other horses.
Okay, so she's going to race William, the guy that's horrible to the other horses. Do I need to say that he's a bully and he's riding justice? Do I need to add all of that? No, because those are little details. All we need to know is that Charlotte's getting ready for a race against William. That's it. So now you should have had something like that on the end. So your summary now, all eyes here. We started with Charlotte is not like most 10-year-old girls at the orphanage. So we've told them that our character is Charlotte. She's 10 years old and she's at a orphanage. Miss Boyle is in charge of her in the kitchen and she treats her poorly. So we've also said that she's in the kitchen and she's not treated very well. She hurries through her chores to get to the stables to see Vern and the horses. So we've said that she does her chores like she's supposed to, but her favorite thing to do is to go to the stables. And then we said at the very end, you should have had something like she's getting ready for a race against William, or she's getting ready for a race.
I thought she's getting ready to race on freedom.
Okay, she's getting ready to race on freedom. That would be the last big event. If your reader read that summary, they would know what happened from the beginning to the end, but they do not know all the details. If they want to know the details, then they would need to read the story. So a summary just tells your reader what this story was about without all of the details. Good job. Go ahead and close your books. Tomorrow we will read this one more time and work on a different skill.